my distinguished friend is Erzurum is also with us, and thank you very much to her to participate this presentation. And now, as Amelia Indica says, we are working on climate change and tourism sector. And today, I want to make a brief presentation to you about the impact of climate change on tourism and how to adapt tourism sector to climate change and climate impacts. Now, let me share my presentation and start it. I think everybody can see the presentation, right?
Yeah, we can see, sir.
Okay. My presentation topic is enhancing tourism climate actions in Turkey, or with new names, Turkiye. I am the professor at Atatürk University, and I am also the consultant and the tourism and cultural heritage expert in UNDP Turkey. Now the content, the presentation content is at first we will mention about tourism facts, and then climate tourism and tourism climate interaction, then tourism climate impact chain and value chain analysis, and the results and action examples we will discuss and we will share with you. Amila, I am sorry, I must accept the participants in some time interval, okay? Because when I share my screen, full screen, I cannot see who will participate our program. Therefore, I must sometime get out of full screen presentation. Now, my presentation is, can you see it, right? My presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Doctor,
And some people
please use the side.
If you want, I can give you the host. Amila, I will give you the host position, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I gave it, and you can accept all the participants.
Yeah.
To the program. Okay. And thank you very much again. And I am concentrating on my presentation again.
Yeah. We can see that.
Tourism sector is a huge and very large industry and sector, together with its great contribution to socio-economic development for the countries and regions, and environmental protection also it can contribute. And it creates 10% of global GDP and global employment rate. And the tourism also, the bad side is accounts for a significant share in global greenhouse gas emission, nearly 8 to 10% of total greenhouse gas emission. And then tourism also among the sectors having the highest vulnerability to climate hazards and impacts. Climate change is very effective on the tourism sector, and climate change is also seen to be the highest obstacle or obstacle to sustainable tourism and sustainability of tourism. This is different, but it is the very important thing. What about Turkish tourism sector? Turkey is very very high ranks at a very high rank in tourism sector, because it is the fourth most it is the fourth country who hosts the largest number of tourists, and the sector continues to grow every year in Turkey, except for the crisis years like COVID years and the other political crisis years, and increase its share in national GDP. Tourism is a very important sector for our as money income source. And the national targets are very high, because we are expecting the to increase our tourist number about 80 million and about $100 billion our near target. And tourism can support about 50 subsectors, and which means one tourism dollar makes two. And of course, tourism sector in Turkey faces the risk of losing income and quality human resource due to crises like pandemics, earthquakes, war, or terrorism. And climate change is also the additional risk factor. So this is the rank of Turkey. According to tourist number, we are the fourth country all over the world. And but for the tourism recipes and tourism income, our rank is some down. And in addition to already existing ones, risks coming from the climate hazards are very important for the sustainability and for the future of and for the competitiveness of tourism sector in both Turkey and all over the world and in other countries also. These are very important because tourism is a very vulnerable sector to every risk, not only from the climate change, but also the other sectoral risks are very important for the sectoral risk. Adaptation and resilience of the sector to climate impacts are also vital for the achievement of future expectation, as I said, and increased tourism GDP and increased tourism share in GDP. Sorry, my is my presentation okay?
Yeah, we can see
Can
you.
you see my presentation? Can you see my pages?
Yeah.
Advancing?
We can see your presentation, sir.
Okay. I think you can see the now I am sharing my sixth presentation page. If is it okay? Yes. Then I am proceeding. Yes, increased tourism share in GDP and employment corresponds higher climate vulnerability. This means if you are expecting very much and much more thing and for economic income and employment, so your risk is higher. Uh, so the very important sentence is that the earlier the adaptation to climate impacts, the higher the sectoral competitiveness in tourism sector. So if you are if you can adapt, if you can develop adaptation measures, adaptation actions to climate change in tourism sector, so you can be more competitive in tourism. And these are the Turkish documents, strategical documents developed for the tourism sector. And what about climate tourism, climate relationship? Climate tourism, climate is very important factor, and of course, and weather events and meteorological conditions are very important factors on tourism sector because you cannot make your activities outdoor if the weather is bad or the climate conditions doesn't enable you to perform these activities. So climate characteristic and daily weather conditions enable or hinder tourism activities mainly outdoor because all human body are facing to some atmospheric conditions and meteorological conditions. The most important parameters effective on outdoor tourism activities is at first air temperature is the most effective, and then the relative humidity is also effective because thermal conditions are affected by these parameters, and precipitation is also effective, and wind velocity, and then cloudiness, and then sunshine duration, and then solar radiation are among the most important meteorological or climate parameters for the tourism sector because all of these are affect the we say tourism climate index because these index are mainly based on thermal, physical, and aesthetical aspects, because thermal aspect is directly related to human body and body of the tourist, because if the tourists are not comfortable condition in outdoor, so they cannot perform their activities. And physical factors, if you are under rain, or if you are facing high wind speed, so you cannot make your physical activities. Also the physical part is also important. And aesthetical, if you go to a sightseeing, then all the area is under fog, so you cannot take photo or you cannot see anywhere. This is also aesthetical part. These are the brief important parameters of climate for tourism. And what about the trend of these parameters in Turkey and all over the world? Of course, Turkey is in the Mediterranean basin, and nearly all countries are like Turkey about these parameters. And so the number and or frequency and severity of these parameters are always increasing year by year. And in Turkey, it is also the same in the same condition. And one of the example of Izmir city in Turkey, and all the parameters are, for example, very hot days and tropical days number, and summer days number, and mean or average temperature number is very fastly increasing, and the cool days, the number of and frequency of cool days are decreasing very quickly and very fast. So the future of climate and future projections are also very pessimistic about the both tourism climate indicators and other climatic parameters for related to tourism. And so how can assess the impact of climate on tourism in a project which is implemented by the Turkish Ministry of Urbanism, Environment and Climate Change, and the UNDP Turkey. So we are developing of course, we have developed, a tourism strategy related to climate change and climate adaptation actions we developed. In this project, we propose a methodological approach, which includes first climate impact chain, and then tourism value chain, but tourism value chain is based on tourist satisfaction. So I am now defining and presenting about the climate impact chain. According to IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, according to IPCC's assessment report 5 and 6, there is a methodology about the vulnerability of or assessment of vulnerability. It is based on these parameters. One is climate hazard, and the second is exposure. Sorry, is there any problem?
Please mute.
Amila, is there any question?
எப்படி கொதிக்குது எனக்கு பயமா இது ஏடா உனக்கு டைம் செட் பண்ணி
Yes.
It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. As I said, there is a climate impact chain. This begins with climate hazard. Hazard mean the impacts of climate change on, of course, extreme meteorological events, for example, or drought, or other flood, or wildfires. These are the hazards. And then exposure is means the people or assets exposed to these hazards, and sensitivity and then adaptive capacity. So together with sensitivity and adaptive capacity, so it makes a vulnerability and then risk. So for the tourism sector, it begins to tourist satisfaction, because all the climate elements affect tourist satisfaction. And then first of all, if we want to increase tourist satisfaction and or guarantee tourist satisfaction, we must have some human capital and then tourism assets, and then we must have a high quality tourism service and a social capital to both ensure the service quality, and then accessibility to all services, and then accessibility to the destinations, and then the facilities. So the sub chains of these value chain, first tourism assets, really cultural assets, natural assets, and then events, and then social capital, we can say with social capital, promotion and travel agencies, quality insurance, and accessibility service infrastructure, energy, communication, healthcare, and others, and transport, of course, airways or coaches, cruises, and the facilities, all accommodation facilities and other food and beverage facilities are in this value chain. So we must know, and we must see that if the climate hazards, climate impacts are present and effective, so these are all effective in this value chain parts. We must evaluate, we must make assessment one by one, all the these value chain actors, how they can be affected by or impacted by climate change. So this is the general mentality or general philosophy of the approach. So the risk is the decreased tourist number and the recipe. And then the climate impacts pose the risk to decrease tourist satisfaction, and according to the number and recipe and the employment, of course. And climate vulnerability of tourism value can be considered for the adaptation measurement of sustainable tourism. And this is these are the all value chains of tourism, and then the impact of climate change is tourist and recipe losses and unemployment and social problems. What causes these? One is heat waves and lower snow thickness, for example, for the winter tourism, and the other is unfavorable thermal comfort or extreme weather events, and the other climate hazards or climate risk, climate hazards, sea level rise, for example, droughts and wildfires. These are not all the climate hazards, but climate hazards can change and can be different from place to place and region to region. So how can these hazards can affect natural and cultural assets, service providers, or human capital? We are now analyzing and giving information about it. So after we evaluate these impact chain and value chain, so this is the Turkish map which shows the risk for the provinces all over the country. This is the present time risk. For example, maybe the well-known tourism destination is Antalya. You can see at the Izmir and Istanbul, the risk level you can see, and the future risk level, and you can see for the distant and near future. And results and action examples, because the slides before are some technical details, but so what can be done, or what must be done to adapt to these impacts and this climate change effect? So for the tourism assets, for example, together with climate impacts and risks, tourism assets are really under very big threats. So tourism assets are facing to overuse and pressure on natural and cultural and mixed areas. This calls the overuse. So deterioration from urban construction and land trade, because so if you develop your tourism sector in some area and very diverse and very big site, very largely, so these areas are very fastly urbanized, and some urban structure come to see all over all the area, and overconsumption of natural resource. So due to in Turkey there is some problematic situation, which is we call all-inclusive system, because we consume and spend very huge amount of natural resources, but our income is less when compared to these losses. So these are causes additional losses if the risk coming from the climate change. So these situations are not sustainable. And what can be solutions for first, resilience of destinations to climate risk?
Excuse me, Professor.
We must.
Excuse me, sir.
Sorry.
Sorry for
Yeah.
disturbing. This may come to an end within 50 seconds. Please use the same link to join again. Dear participant, please use the same link to join again as well.
Okay.
I apologize for the inconvenience. Okay, sir. Continue.
Okay, now finished, or shall we wait? Only 20 seconds, right? Control mechanism. This control mechanism also is very important, because both increase quality and then both increase the human capital quality and adaptive capacity for the climate impact. And developing skills for acting together is also important for at local level, because and need for developing destination management organization in Turkey. It is a very weak side of Turkish tourism sector, because local partnership is needed in Turkey, but not only for the promotion and marketing, this partnership is needed, but also improving adaptive capacity for climate change and expanding sustainable tourism practices. I am sorry. Some participants are asking me. Okay. And also human resource and human capital participation in local communities in tourism value chain as qualified human resource or potential tourism entrepreneurs is also needed, and this is a requirement for the sustainability of tourism and increased adaptive capacity, because it provides local ownership is very important. And improvement of social infrastructure to increase climate adaptive capacity in the tourism and cultural heritage sector is also needed, and organized training and awareness activities. This is also very important because tourism sites are not aware of climate change and its impacts. So they must know these impacts and adaptation actions they must know. And in addition to official institutions, we must make trainings, for example, sustainable tourism trainings and responsible tourism about the trainings, and we must give all type of such trainings to tourism actors and entrepreneurs and other tourism workers, and even in public sector, for example, Ministry of Culture and Tourism in Turkey and its entities and municipalities, local governments and NGOs must be trained about the impacts of climate change on tourism sector, and increase of technical infrastructure and human resource capacity to these organizations, all for the civil side and public side. And destination management organizations also can do very good things for the adaptation actions to climate change. It is a very important side. And the international collaboration with UNESCO or ICOM, ICOMOS, and UNDP for the preservation of cultural heritage and for the determination of climate vulnerability and risk for cultural assets and areas. It is also a very important site because this is the main deficiency or main lacks about the cultural heritage and climate impacts is the lack of human resource. It is a very important because quality human resource is very important thing for the preservation of cultural heritage. And promotion of sustainable tourism practices, both for the tourists and for the destination target countries, and climate adaptive capacity in tourism facilities and destinations and national scale by preparing sustainable tourism destination management plans in local level and implementing them with technical and financial support. And technical and financial support also a very important part of the tourism adaptation to climate change, because if you don't have any technical capacity, you cannot implement your actions. And of course, again, you must some financial resource and economic resource like taxes and other income sources which be left to tourism sector. You cannot do and you cannot achieve your targets and implement your actions. So for the national and destination promotion, changing target markets, because all the tourism suitability of the Europe and other areas are changing, and tourist preference also change, and motivations also change, and due to the climate change. And sustainable and responsible tourism team should be used, considering the scientific analysis for the target countries and for target markets. Also, the tourism facilities are very important parts, and they are in Turkey accumulated in certain regions, and this negatively affects the sectoral resilience, because only the Istanbul and the Mediterranean region are full of local or chain hotels, but the other parts are not so crowded. So if we have some problems in these areas, of course, it's a big risk. And their institutional capacities are not enough. We are mentioning about the tourism facilities. And rather than tourism NGOs, partnerships, public institutions spend efforts to increase the number of environmental friendly and sustainable tourism certified facilities. There must be some partnerships to achieve this certification. And climate hazards have different impacts on tourism facilities depending on their regions. For example, in Mediterranean region, tourism facilities are not affected with the same degree in other areas. So we must be classified. We must classify them. And climate change causes facilities to face challenges due to increasing energy demands, because in summer tourism, our energy demand is increasing the year by year, and the cost also increase, and access to food and labor wage. This is also a very important part. So fluctuations in tourist number and stays, climate change because affects them. Suitability conditions are also shows variations. For example, snow depth or thermal comfort conditions are different. So this also affects tourism businesses, and they have to make additional investments for infrastructure to adapt new conditions. And for example, reaching suitable snow cover level, or water sources, also losses in water sources also do some additional cost to tourism businesses. And some example, for example, European ski resort is closing due to lack of snow. This is a problem, for example, and for the winter tourism. And construction of resilient tourism facilities is also important, and we must construct them in resilience and for the disasters caused by extreme weather events, and we must reinforce them. And selection of right location, site, and architectural designs also must be convenient to their surroundings, and use of local and low carbon construction materials. We must use them, and rather than importing them, we must use local materials to decrease the carbon release. So there is a map here which shows temporal and spatial change in tourism suitability, tourism climate index. Some target countries for Turkey also have favorable summer tourism conditions. This is worse. I mean, this is not a good thing for Turkey's summer tourism destinations, because if you have the same conditions in your house or in your city, you don't want to go to abroad, and you don't want to spend your money. So the number of tourists and the tourism income may be decreased in the future for a Turkish summer tourism destination. Not only Turkey, but also the all Mediterranean coastal area is in the same condition. And in the Northern Europe, the summer tourism suitability is also increasing. So new infrastructure requirements in new destinations, need for financial and natural resources for the establishment of new facilities. Long-term strategies for the adaptation of tourism sector are needed to prevent the exacerbation of present problems and needs due to climate hazards and risks. And among such strategies, enhancing adaptive capacity of tourism facilities and businesses making their physical structure prepared for climate impacts, resilient buildings, transforming existing structures, developing criteria to enhance adaptation capacities, and preparing spatial and architectural design and implementation guides tailored to regions determined by tourism types and the impacts of climate hazards. The collaboration of the ministries and local governments, we can count among the actions. And consider climate adaptation in spatial and strategic decisions related to tourism and cultural heritage and interinstitutional coordination. So enhancing coordination between local and central administration in preparing, implementing, and controlling spatial plans. It is very important because tourism-driven urbanization and land use change is very diverse, is expanding day by day. It is a big problem, and improving the capacities of local governments to meet the need for infrastructure and human resources, because local governments host some destinations host a very big amount of tourist number, but their infrastructure are not so strong, are weak, too weak to make service these tourist number. So improving the infrastructure for early warning system is also important, and to solve the technical infrastructure problems caused by seasonal tourism crowdedness, overpopulated municipalities should be financially supported, we can say. And the last slide is we can see very good practice examples. For example, if the daytime is not comfortable for the tourists, so you can use museums at night in Turkey. And the other example is Glasgow Declaration for the climate actions to tourism sector, because very good aims and very good actions are given there, Glasgow Declaration. in the Glasgow Declaration, you can see the document, and you can see the actions in Glasgow Declaration, and it's a organization. It turns out to be an organization getting larger and larger day by day. And the Amila Indica made in another program host a guest, and they spoke about high value, low volume Bhutanese model. It's also a good practice for the sustainability of and climate resilience of tourism. You must have high value, and you must have high contribution from the tourism sector, which for the conservation and preservation of your of course, resources and your assets. And thank you very much for your patience. And if you have any contributions or questions, you can ask and you can speak, of course.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Toy, for your wonderful presentation. And now I would like to move to Ms. Erzurum Khan. That Erzurum will make you the host, then you can share your presentation, and then please make me the host back after you shared your presentation. Okay. I think you can share your presentation now. Erzurum, can you hear me? Okay, okay.
Yes, I'm just sharing the.
Okay, okay. Take your time. No issue.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my.
Okay, we can see your slide, but it's little small. Okay.
Is it better now?
But it is a kind of a minimized version. Okay, fine, fine. No issue. To continue.
Okay, if let me try this way.
Ah, yes, that's
Is it
great.
better?
Great, great. Now we can see.
Okay. I think this is working.
Yeah, yeah. We can see your presentation. Okay. Okay, please
first
make me the host, Erzurum.
Okay. I think the students are joining, so I keep adding them also. And I hope like I am audible. Yes, Amila. I think I'm audible also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
That we can see your presentation as well. That could you please make me the host now?
Okay. Let me.
Yeah.
Okay, should I start now?
That I can hear you. Okay, that's
Yes.
fine. Your
I'm trying
is
from
fine.
my, yes, I'm just trying from my phone
It's visible
to make you
also. I
host.
can hear you. And if
Okay.
that could you please make me the host again? That otherwise I can't control the things, especially the
Okay,
waiting room and
host
other things.
tool. Head of- I'm from my phone. I'm just trying.
Yeah, you just
But
select my name.
I cannot see. I cannot wait. Okay. Stop make host.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, now
Is
that
it good?
we can't
Okay.
see your the screen, that is the case.
Yes.
I
But now it says only host can share in this meeting.
yo, I make you the host again, then you share, then after that, you make me the host. You
Yes.
share it now, please.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
fine.
now
I
I'll
can see your
make
screen.
you host. Done?
Again, we can't see.
Yes, it's this when I'm making you host, I don't know, like it is.
What you can do that you keep your host with you. I will make you,
Okay.
and then you continue. That
Yeah.
at the end we will change it. Huh? Okay.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You keep the host with you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please start. Sorry for the inconvenience.
So good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, everyone here. I'm deeply honored to be here today, and I want to begin this beautiful day by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished host, all the esteemed guests, and all the incredible participants joining us for this crucial conversation on climate change and tourism. Rather, I would love to call it sustainable tourism. A special thank you to you, Emila, from University College of Ratmalana, University of Vocational Technology in Sri Lanka, for organizing a webinar series entitled UCR, Global Leisure, with special focus on global best practices and new trends in tourism, events, hospitality, and related industry, but not limited to those aspects of the leisure industry. Again, I'm really grateful to you all for bringing us together at such a pivotal moment. And here I could see the universities and the department leadership in facilitating these discussions, because this is not just commendable, but necessary these days. And again, I must say, like, I can see, like, here, most of them are students, but maybe the researchers, industry leaders, policymakers, activists, or change makers must be here. So welcome to you all. First of all, I must say why we all are here today. I think we are gathered here because tourism because tourism is an industry that brings cultures together, creates millions of jobs, and drives economic growth. But at the same time, tourism is now at the front lines of the climate crisis. That's the main thing that why we all are here today. We can see if we just close our eyes for a moment and we start imagining, we can see that our beautiful coastal cities around the world are disappearing at a much, much faster rate than a decade ago. Wildfires are threatening our forests and heritage sites. Professor Dr. Süleyman has just beautifully explained in his presentation about all those things, about heritage sites in different parts of the world. And we must say, like, it's not all about the natural sites are disappearing. It's more about that heritage sites are disappearing at the same rate. Then we can see, especially those countries who have like more mountains. For example, Turkey, which has mountains. Pakistan, we have world, you can say, highest mountain peaks in the world. So we all are facing glacier meltings at an unprecedented rate. And it's really devastating. We can see, especially for the last more than 5 years. So this discussion of all these things is coming to the conclusion that the economic backbone of many developing nations are at risk now. And we cannot have any second thought on that. That's the very pressing issue right now. For me, this is very important coming especially from a region. I'm not talking about a particular country, Pakistan. I'm talking about especially for, if we talk about the global south, we all are experiencing climate change in some level, but maybe the manifestation is different. We are experiencing it on a different level, but yes, it is there. We cannot deny it, and we cannot say that it is more theoretical, but we as citizens of the world, we are experiencing it in a more realistic way. So today, what I believe, like instead of just talking about the problems, we all know that there are problems and challenges. Okay, it's showing me like the meeting is ending maybe within 10 minutes. Sorry for that.
Then that in last minute you make me the host. Then I will start again and you can continue. Within the last minute, I will tell you. Okay, you continue, Arun.
Yeah. So as I'm just saying, like we all know about the challenges and the problems, but the main thing is how we can come up with creative and innovative solutions. And we as people, we as change agents, we as people who are experiencing it on a daily basis, I think we have more power to reshape the future of tourism. We have to make it more resilient, more sustainable, and a driver of climate action rather than contributor to the crisis, because we have been contributing, I believe, especially the regions which we have termed as global north and mostly the developed countries. They are obviously, I don't know the exact figure, but we can say 70% of all the carbon emissions or GHG gases, they are, the global north is the main, you can say, driver, or they are the main contributor. And we especially in the global south, as developing or as the least developed nations, we are the more sufferers. I think we are not contributing to that. It's even less than 0.1%. So this is also very important when we talk about, later we will talk about climate justice also. So before going into more details, you can see, sorry, I have to admit students. That's why I have to take a little pauses. So here in this picture, you can see there's a question I raised. What if the very places that bring tourists to our countries no longer exist? Just imagine for a moment. This particular picture has been taken from Pakistan's 2022 floods. Again, you can see here, this is Turkey's forest fires due to climate change. I think it happened in 2021. And this is all about sea erosion in Sri Lanka, I think, which is it is happening every year, and it's I don't know, it's despoiling our tourist sites and destinations. There are reasons, but yes, the question appears what we will be doing with all such challenges. But before going again into the details, just for a moment, imagine a world where some of the most breathtaking destinations no longer exist, where glaciers that once dazzled adventures are now melted away, where coastal cities are submerged, and where centuries-old heritage sites crumble under extreme weather. Just for a moment, close your eyes and imagine. It's a horrible world. It's a painful world. But yes, the good news is that we are still here. And as humans, as we are contributing to climate change, the chances here again that we can control it only if we all can collaborate and if we all are willing to do it in a serious manner. So there are like here in this particular side, you can see some global tourism and climate change, some data and some hard facts. So let's see in this perspective. 80% of global tourism happens in coastal regions. I think you must be knowing, especially these countries, especially like Sri Lanka, Thailand, and many coastal regions in the global south. So it's almost 80%. This is, I think, a very, very big figure, that 80% of all the global tourism happens in coastal regions. And now they're highly vulnerable to rising sea level. Developing countries rely on tourism almost 10 to, depending on a specific country, it's almost 10 to 20% of our GDPs totally depends on tourism. And with such figures and with such data, it's also telling us a very, very dangerous statement or a reality that climate change is now threatening our economies from every side, in every sector. Then if we talk about biodiversity or our cultural heritage sites, so I think it's affecting both tourism and also our local communities. When we talk about heritage, it's not about the buildings and it's not about the past, but there are millions of people who are just living in those places, living in those destinations, participating in everyday activities, and their livelihood is also depending on those heritage sites. They are practicing the tradition and the culture. So all these things are getting into trouble now. If we talk about Maldives here, I think there are obviously many countries, but specifically if we talk about Maldives, 80% of Maldives is just 1 meter above sea level. Again, if we just realize and imagine the condition, it seems devastating. According to some recent data, by 21, in the next century, as it comes, Maldives could be uninhabitable due to rising level of sea. The government is now building floating cities to adapt. So these are not only figures, but these are the alarming situations. And we really have to think how creatively we can deal with all these problems. Here I have like little bit question in every slide. I must say, how many of you have personally witnessed a change in the climate affecting tourism? Maybe a heat wave, flood, wildfires, or just coastal erosion. You all must have seen it on a personal level. And before we explore solutions, we need to explore to understand the crisis more. What exactly is climate change? If we go to different scientific definition, it says that climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperature, weather patterns, and atmospheric conditions, driven largely by human activity. So the climate change definition is clearly telling us that it's us as human beings who are responsible for all such activities. Here I must recommend, like you people, especially the students, they should go and try to read 2023 report of IPCC and see different reports related to tourism, different reports related to climate change, basically, and how it's impacting.
Excuse me, Rom. Extremely
Yeah.
sorry for disturbing
Did I
you.
make you?
Make me the host because that we may have that around 50 seconds. And please join again using the same link. I'm extremely sorry for the inconvenience. I apologize for this technical issue. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But if you want to say something that without presentation, you can continue, but we may have only 30 seconds.
Okay. I just want to ask the students to just imagine these things and try to see what really should impact our actions and how we should be coming up with better policies. It's not about like the experts only. It's not.
Yes, we can see your presentation. Yes, great.
Okay. Yes. So I was discussing about how climate change, what is the definition of climate change and how it is impacting us. So I just want to share with you some very recent data also. Global CO2 levels today are the highest in 800,000 years, almost maybe for the last 800,000 years, we were having some sort of same temperatures or maybe same sea levels, we don't know. But right now, in the recent time, for the last many decades, we are having just terrible record of CO2 levels. 10 of the last 12 years have been the warmest on record. The climate crisis is happening faster than we predicted. I remember, like, if I talk about 80s, late 80s, for example, we were like, listening to all such things. We were like witnessing different movies, and we were like having some sort of things in our schools. We were listening like, okay, there are environmental issues, there is climate change, but we never realized that it will be, or it would be impacting this world so soon. we didn't even realize that. So that is also a very sad part. Again, I must mention here about Pakistan 2022 floods. And if we talk about numbers, so 33 million people were displaced. That's too high a figure. And almost $30 billion we lost as per our national economy. And if we talk about the heritage site, I just try to put some heritage details also. We have 5,000 to 6,000 years old heritage site, that is Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Mohenjo-daro basically comes under Indus Valley civilization, which is up till the record of different obviously research-based institution. They said like this is one of the earliest urban settlement and urban civilization. So with 2022 floods, the Mohenjo-daro area suffered, you can say, a structural damage. Again, it was like filled with the flood water, and like obviously with 6,000. And some of the recent studies are also saying it's not 6,000, it must be, or maybe obviously they are doing some more research on that, because the excavation process is still going on. It's only 10% excavated. So maybe after more excavation, some scientists are saying that it may be between 6,000 to 9,000 years old. So that particular city, it's not only a one site or one building, it's a purely a very big city that is under a bad threat. It's always threatened with 2022 floods, but right now it's just losing everything, losing the infrastructure and everything. Here, the point which should be concerning all of us is that, do you think like in your country, you are having the same problem? Do you think like heritage sites in your country or your region are facing the same challenges? Please just keeping in your mind, and if you can see, you can just write it down. Okay, what are those different sites? Here again, I must say now that we know what the climate change is and about the recent data, let's examine the tourism role in this crisis. Here, if you just go to the presentation, again, it's saying different, it's giving you different recent data about Turkey, especially the wildfires in Antalya and Bodrum in 2021, I guess 2023, where $600 million in tourism revenue was lost. And then if you talk about the heat waves, which was hitting, specifically hitting the cultural tourism, Cappadocia, and it faced record temperatures, reducing visitor number. Obviously, when we have like this kind of soaring temperatures, so people who are coming from, especially from cold regions, obviously, we can see that the percentage is going down. And then the drought and water shortages. Istanbul faces a water crisis affecting hospitality and tourism. You know, like when we talk about tourism, we need millions and billions of tons of water. We have to, and as alumni of Cornell Sustainable Tourism course, we have been studying that, we have been experiencing that in our course with different you can say studies, case studies, and with different recent figures and data that how the water crisis is impacting the tourism destination and the destination infrastructure. Here, I also wrote a few more examples about Egypt, for example. Egypt Red Sea tourism, the coral reef, it's also been threatened because of diving in marine tourism. Then we have Morocco's heat waves and desertification. Then we have, we all know like about Thailand's beach closures, and there are other few coastal destinations who face the same. So going to the next point, here I must say, like, we have to see what is the contribution of tourism in creating the climate change. We have seen like climate change is impacting, it's vice versa. The climate change is impacting the tourism, and the tourism itself is impacting the climate change. Right now, the global tourism accounts for 8 to 11% of total emissions. And if we talk about the aviation, it alone produces 2.5% of all the global CO2 emissions. So it's a huge thing. And if we just try to figure out about the percentage of all the tourism, the global tourism, so aviation counts for 40%. It's contributing towards global emission. And this particular figure of 40%, the aviation is causing 40% global CO2 emission. It's about one long-haul flight of one year of emission of an average person. 1 year, a person, okay, for example, you all, as per person, an average person, we are responsible for this much carbon, for example. But one particular flight is equal to all that. So you can see the drastic emission the aviation is creating. Then if we talk about the hotel industry, it's almost impacting 20% of global CO2 emission, because we are using obviously lots of water, we are using lots of energy in the hotel industry. So due to that, we have ACs obviously in the regions which have like long summers and which have like very high temperatures. Then we have to use pools, we have different heating systems. So that creates a lot of stress on hotel industry. Then we have a cruise industry. This is also contributing almost 10% to the global CO2 emission. And I just write down one line, one statement. It's a mind-blowing figure. One cruise ship emits as much as 1 million cars. Can you just imagine? One cruise ship emits as much as 1 million cars. It means we have to reimagine all our tourism tools, the way we do our tourism, and we have to come up with lots of creative and innovative formulas to doing the tourism in our countries. Okay. Again, it's a chain reaction, as I just told you. If you talk about deforestation, so when we are developing lots of infrastructure, we are cutting down the forest. So resorts and tourism infrastructure, it often leads to deforestation, especially in areas like where there are more mountains, where more green pastures. So yes, it's all human activities that we are responsible for all kind of tourism related deforestation in the world now. Again, if we talk about carbon emissions from transport, aviation and cruise ships generate large scale emission. I just give you the numbers. Then if we talk about the marine pollution, so cruise tourism is a major contribution to all ocean pollution. Obviously, there are many other ways, and there are many other contributors. But if we really talk about tourism, so the cruise tourism is creating all such mess. Then over tourism impacts destination like Maldives, Santorini, they are suffering from environmental stress. And these stresses and these challenges the tourist destinations are facing, they are experiencing on daily basis. It's nothing about like the scientist has to come, The data has to come in front of you. No, we all are experiencing it in our regions, that how the climate change is impacting tourism and how the tourism is impacting. It's always vice versa. Again, I must mention Venice over here, Italy, that over-tourism has led to rising sea levels and erosion of historic sites, forcing new conservation policies. I think, if I remember, you all can correct me, last year, Italy, I think the government come up with many different measures, like how to combat this. Then, if we talk about Sri Lanka and the tourism crisis you people are experiencing, I think the post-pandemic recovery, almost it give rise to tourism, but it also give rise to carbon emissions at the same time. Then in Sri Lanka and in many other developing regions of the world, we are heavily reliant on fossil fuel transport and unsustainable hotel infrastructure. I'm not going into the details. We can do some other day about what are the pros and cons of sustainable and unsustainable hotel structure. But it's very much evident, like unsustainable hotel structure are also causing a lot of climate change, and then climate change is impacting them. What are the solutions for, especially for this kind of thing? The government must be pushing for eco-resorts. They must be going for solar powered or any other clean energy or renewable energy formulas for their tourism hubs. If we keep using the fossil fuel, if we keep relying heavily on fossil fuels for our tourism industry, it will be devastating in the next decade. It means that tourism, when it contributes to climate change, it is also a biggest victim of climate change. I didn't come to this particular slide, but yes, we will be dealing with this now. But before going into the solution, let's see again, like what are the impacts globally of climate change. We can see extreme weather even impacting destination. Again, I should remind you that it's not about the global south or the developing regions which are experiencing. You can see for the last 2 to 3 months, especially the continent of America is experiencing lots of climate change in the form of rising sea levels, extreme weather events like storm, hurricanes. And I should remember one of the incident, I cannot recall the particular destination, but that particular destination where they say like more and more climate scientists are over there. That particular region or that particular city is responsible for calculating of all the global scientific data on tourism. But that particular center, that particular center where all these things are based, all these new, and they are using lots of new technology, that particular region suffered a blow because of the storm and the hurricane. And for, I don't remember how many hours, for I think more than 2 days or 3 days, that particular city of USA was just shut down. There was no electricity, there was nothing just after that. And that particular city where people say that most of the climate scientists are living over there, that particular city was just cut off from the world. So these are very shocking examples, even from developed nations. Because climate change doesn't discriminate between the region, it just comes. It just can come anywhere in any region, any part of the world. We have rising sea levels. We can see like Sri Lanka, Thailand, and most of the South Asian countries here, that how the coastal erosion is swelling our beaches. And I would want like some of the students here, like how you people are experiencing that in your particular region or city where the erosion is just swelling all these beaches and just devastating all these regions, not only the regions or the destinations, but the livelihood of people who are living there. Then we have glacier melts and wildfires. Glacier melts, as I just told you, is another very big impact. And it says, some of the data says like this particular glacier melt is also responsible for, it's adding to climate change, it's adding to all kind of flooding, and it's adding to the global rising temperature and rising sea levels. So everything is again intermingled, everything is, it's all about vice versa. Then we have to see like key climate threats to tourism. If we talk about coastal tourism, for example, we can see Bangladesh also as an example, how the rising sea level is threatening those coastal areas. And then we talk about mountains or glacier destination. We have Swiss Alps and Himalayas, both are losing their glaciers. Then if we talk about wildlife-based tourism, so we can see African states here. The African safari economy is at risk due to species loss. So again, it's a big loss. It's really a big loss of wildlife. And again, if we talk about cultural heritage sites, so there is flooding, there is erosion, there is extreme weather. All these things are threatening UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And obviously there are more, thousands of other sites which are not under UNESCO World Heritage, but obviously they exist in different parts of the world. They are threatened. Then food and water security. As more and more agriculture has been damaged and been devastated, we can see that food insecurity is there. And when food and water insecurity is there, so obviously the hospitality sector is facing shortages due to droughts and due to agriculture, less crop yields. Here I also must mention about Australia, about the Great Barrier Reef. Please, all of you students, just go to, after the presentation, just Google about the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and try to find out the data. It's really alarming. A major attraction, that is a major attraction in Australia. It has lost almost 50% of its coral due to climate-induced bleaching. They are obviously trying to solve it, come up with solution, but they almost lost 50% of it. And you know the importance of coral reef. We just talked about Turkey's wildfire crisis in one of the above slide. Then we also see like $500 million was lost. Here, I can't hear you, Emila, if you are saying something.
No.
Hello.
No, I'm not saying anything. Yes, you can continue.
Okay.
You can continue. Huh?
Okay.
Okay.
So let's come to the solutions. When we talk about the solutions, one of the most significant commitment which different, obviously, global organizations are working on, with lots of data being maintained that how to come up with the solution. So one of that is Glasgow Declaration on Climate Action in Tourism. You all must know about Glasgow Declaration, what it is. It was basically launched at UN Climate Change Conference of Parties, that is COP26 in Glasgow in 2021. This particular declaration unites tourism stakeholders behind a common goal. The goal is cutting emissions in half by 2030 and reaching net zero by 2050. So when we talk about cutting emission in half by 2030, you can see we are almost like only 5 years is remaining now. And the declaration is saying that we have to cut it down by half. So realistically, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. If the nations of the world, if the global south and the north start collaborating on policy making, on global climate finance, they start working on it, yes, it can be reversed. So let's see what are the key commitments in the Glasgow declarations. There are many details which are really interesting for you guys. So you all can later on try to Google Glasgow and see what the declaration is saying. I should mention here just few points. It says that you have to measure the emissions and climate impacts on tourism and the tourism part on climate change. Then it says destinations have to decarbonize the tourism infrastructure. Then it says that the destination has to regenerate ecosystem and biodiversity. If we keep moving on with all unsustainable tourism activities, we will be facing more challenges in the days to come. Then the Glasgow Declaration says that we have to align our tourism finance and investment with sustainability. The global financial institution and the local institutions, they all have to see that how they can come up with more climate finance for their regions. Here I should mention here that like Costa Rica has aligned its tourism industry with climate goals by promoting carbon neutral hotels, ecotourism incentives, and banning single-use plastic. Almost 800 organizations and governments around the world have signed this particular declaration. And UK and major industry leaders such as Booking.com and Intrepid Travel, they also signed it. So it's a good sign again. Then let's come to our last part of the presentation. Let's talk about the Baku Declaration. You all know about COP29. It happened in the Climate Change Conference of Parties was held in Baku and adopted at COP29 in Baku. This particular Baku Declaration sets the framework for integrating tourism into global climate strategies. Here I should give example of Turkey again. That Turkey is implementing sustainable tourism initiatives, including green hotels, eco-certification, and renewable energy in resorts. And why does the Baku Declaration matter for all of us? Pardon? Yes.
No, I think it's mistake.
Okay.
I think it may be a mistake, Arun, that you can continue.
Oh. Yeah. So you guys can go and just find out about these very important declarations, Glasgow and Baku, and find out what does it say. Then coming to the last part, what we are doing what little we are also trying to create an impact to solve the problem of tourism specifically. So I must say, we at Climate Hub Forum trying hard on policy recommendation. We are working here with local ministries. Specifically, we have different provinces. So the provinces basically deal with their own regions in a different manner. So the more important is that if particular region is not going to come up with the sustainable tourism policy, I don't think so that they will going to implement it. So the very important thing is how the policymakers are, playing their part. We in Global South, especially trying to look into the matter and trying to convince different stakeholders that yes, we need a totally different tourism policy. Here I should mention here, yeah, I can see I think only 9 minutes are left. Yes. Here I should mention here, we have started plastic free, there's a project we initiated here in Pakistan that's called Towards Zero Waste. And another is 1 million trees projects. And if we talk about sustainable destinations, so we have initiated that how we can make small destinations plastic free in the first phase. Then we will go into other details. And that is, I think, can be done practically in a better way. Lastly, I must say, you people are the custodian of our future, and you people must be deciding what we should be doing to our particular destinations. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, over to you.
Thank you so much, Erzurum, for your very important views and ideas, and we shared lots of tactics, statistical information from different parts of the world. Now I would like to move to the question and discussion session. If you have any question, you can raise your hand and ask the question. And also that there is another option that you can type the question in the chat box as well. If you have any questions, anything need to share with that us from our experts, you're welcome. Okay, we have got some questions from our audience during the registration process. However, that our both expert speakers, they have already provided some answers for those questions. That I briefly like to move to Professor Süleyman Toy, and that one question that is in the context of Turkey, what are the key things you believe that, or you do to make tourism more resilient in present and future?
Yes, thank you very much, Amila. Turkey's, as you know, Turkey's tourism sector is developed, and we host very huge number of tourists. But the sustainability part is not so developed and so not improved. Therefore, we now try to and plan to improve the sustainability side, and the tourism ministry. Culture and Tourism Ministry is trying to make sustainable tourism certification program. They are realizing this program at present on tourism facilities, and as just now Erzurum is mentioned about it, has mentioned about it. And after the first stage is the tourism facilities, and the second stage they are trying to make small destinations or local destinations make more sustainable and more resilient. And the third stage, we we are working on the whole country as a sustainable tourism destination. We are trying to make this, but this is not enough, of course, and we are at the beginning. The second thing we are working on is the I mentioned a project in my presentation. It is the tourism adaptation, the climate adaptation action project. We are preparing the second climate action adaptation plan for the national level, national scale. But so far, there has been no tourism sector section in this plan. But in the second plan, we included the tourism sector and its adaptation actions in the plan. And after that, I think in the future, if we successfully implement these actions partly or wholly, I think we can increase the resilience of the tourism sector in Turkey for the climate change, for the impact of climate change. It is very difficult because the one side is private sector, another side is the natural and cultural assets and resources. So you must both side. You must balance the both side, and you mustn't cause economic losses from the private sector. And in other side, you must preserve your cultural and natural resources. But it is the most difficult part, because when you develop tourism in Turkey, you are also developing the urbanization and other spatial functions. Therefore, you must be very careful, and you must act very carefully in tourism sector in Turkey.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Now we are about to conclude the webinar. Thanks a lot for all that. I apologize for the inconvenience caused by the system failure at the university, and also that we missed some participants for that our session. And also we had some very valuable audience in addition to the students from Sri Lanka, that we have some professors from Turkey, and also that we have some academics from India and some other countries as well. Thank you so much for all, and especially that I like to express my gratitude to Professor Süleyman Toy and Ms. Erzurum Khan for sharing their expertise with us at the UCR Global Leisure Webinar Series. And at last, please switch on your cameras to take a group photograph. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We will join again with another webinar of the UCR Global Leisure Webinar Series that is about on regenerative tourism. We will join on next April, at the end of the April, with another 2 global experts. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Toy, and thank you so much, Ms. Erzurum, for your wonderful speeches, and thanks a lot for the audience as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too. Bye.